everyone, story time with Mrs. Beth again. Hey, a big shout out to my buddy Hudson and my friend Carter and Eden and Layla. Hey, and anybody else who's listening, I got a great story for you. It's called The Little Boy Who Lived Down the Drain. Let's read it together. The Little Boy Who Lived Down the Drain. Sally loved taking baths. It wasn't because the water was full of soapy bubbles, although the soapy bubbles were nice. It wasn't because she had the bathroom all to herself, although that was nice. And it wasn't because she came out squeaky clean, although she did like being squeaky clean. Sally loved taking baths because she loved talking to the little boy who lived down the drain. He was the best listener in the whole world. She discovered him one day after hearing her mother singing to her bawling little brother who was crying. Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, and 1 for the little boy who lives down the drain. Down the drain? How exciting! Sally didn't know anybody else who lived down a drain. There were so many things she wanted to know. Where was the rest of his family? Was he stuck there? What was he doing with that bag of wool? The next time Sally had a bath, she also had a plan. She waited until the end of her bath, after all the water had emptied out, and then she leaned over the drain and shouted, "Hello? Can you hear me?" She waited and waited, but there was no answer. She shouted again, a little louder this time, "Hello down there?" "Sally," her mother scolded, poking her head around the bathroom door. "What on earth are you doing in there? Stop making such a terrible racket and put on some pajamas before you freeze to death." Reluctantly, Sally got ready for bed, but she didn't forget about the little boy who lived down the drain. In fact, the very next time she had a bath, she had a new plan. Right below the tap in the bathtub, there was a round metal cover with a small opening in it. Laying flat on her stomach, she spoke directly into this opening. "Hello," she whispered. Then, just a teensy bit louder, but not loud enough to make a terrible racket, she whispered and yelled, "Hello! Hello!" Her voice echoed as if filling a large space, large enough for a little boy with a bag of wool to live. "Hello, little boy. My name is Sally. Are you all by yourself down there? It must be very lonely having no one to talk to." Sally could almost see the little boy sitting on a small stool in a big hollow room at the bottom of the drain. He was so little that his teeny tiny voice was too teeny tiny for Sally to hear. So Sally did all the talking. She talked about anything and everything that came into her head, from Brussels sprouts to brain freezes, but she talked mostly about her family. Sally grumbled about how her brother cried all the time, and how her sisters never let her play with them because she wasn't big enough, and how her parents didn't pay attention to her because they were always too busy. "No one in my family listens," she complained. "You have no idea how annoying it is. And my brother crying, wailing whenever I try to talk. My sister slamming their door in my face. My mom and dad saying, 'Not right now, not right now.' Or, It's just awful. Bath after bath, the little boy who lived down the drain just listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't argue with her. He didn't laugh at her. He let her talk and talk and talk. But after a while, Sally wanted to know what the little boy thought about all this, everything she was sharing. She wanted to know what he thought. She pressed her ear tightly against the opening, but she couldn't hear him at all. She wished he could find a way to answer her. It was hard being the only one talking. "Little boy, I just can't hear you," she groaned, frustrated. She brought her mouth closer to the opening, cupped her hands around it, and said, "I know you're probably trying, but you need to try something different so you can hear me and answer." To her surprise, Sally heard a teeny tiny voice cry back, "Try something different." Try something different? That gave Sally the most marvelous idea. The next time her brother cried all through breakfast and no one could hear anything she said, she stopped talking and shared a piece of toast with him. He was quiet for 44 seconds in a row. When her sisters refused to let her play dress up with them, she took out her 258-piece set of sidewalk chalk and invited her sisters to draw with her. And together, they made very colorful creations. And when her parents didn't have time to watch her practice her ballet or somersaults across the living room, she stopped and watched what they were doing instead, like helping her sisters with the dishes, or changing her brother's diaper, or packing her lunch for school. Sally realized that much like her favorite toys, she had to share her parents too. Then, one morning, as she made funny faces at baby brother, he stopped crying and actually smiled at her. And one afternoon, without being forced by anyone, her sisters asked her to build a fort with them, and then even laughed at her jokes. And one evening, her mother and father sat down with her, just the three of them, so she could read a story to them. As the weeks went by, Sally stopped talking to the little boy who lived down the drain. She had too many other people to talk to instead. She wondered if he missed hearing her voice. She wondered if he was sad. She wondered if maybe she should start talking to him again. A few nights later, while she was getting ready for bed, she heard her mother singing a familiar song. "Ba, ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for the master, 1 for the dame, and 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane." Down the lane? Oh, what a relief. Sally didn't need to worry about not talking to the little boy who lived down the drain anymore, because he didn't. He had moved down the lane. What a great story. You know what, friends? Sometimes mommy and daddies get busy. Our sisters or our brothers get busy, or babies are noisy and parents have to pay attention to them. Sometimes we feel left out. Sally was feeling left out. And when she heard her mom singing that nursery rhyme, she thought it was the little boy who lived down the drain. So she started to talk to a little boy down the drain in the bathtub and just tell him everything about her life, because she was feeling lonely. And then, it was so cool, she helped her baby brother. She got to play with her sisters. She got to understand sharing her toys is like sharing her family too. And she got to have time with her family. And you know what, friends? Spend time with your families. Play with them. Read books. That's important too. Or go on a walk. And remember, your family loves you. See you next time, my friends.